Is there a God? Does God exist? And this is from my own experience. Growing up, I grew up in a Roman Catholic type family growing up. My dad immigrated from Germany after the war. Staying with my mom from Holland. I was born here in Canada. And I was raised as a Roman Catholic in that type of a environment, that type of religious or cultural type background. And we all have our childhood experience and we move on with it. And I mentioned there, does God exist? And when I had an experience when I was younger where I didn't say much. And I listened a lot. And the one good thing that saved me is I had a good work ethic. I did whatever I had to do, and I kept working towards whatever the goals were in my life. And at one point, things got a little heavy for me in my late 20s and my early 30s. I just had no freaking clue where I was going to go and what I was going to do, and I was consumed at the time with paying off my student debt as a pilot. So the common theme here is there a God? Well, I found out that many years later, yeah, there is, but it's not what's portrayed on this physical realm. And allow me to elaborate on that. When shit hit the fan many years ago, and I was in a rough state, I knew that after my fifth near-death experience that, who was I going to talk to about any of this? And it certainly wasn't going to be talking to the local person around the corner about it. Like, no way. I worked way too hard for what I had, and that was the truth of it. And I put out there to the universe that I knew that at the time there is a universe, and I found out that we're as a spiritual being. So that really opened up my eyes. And when it opened up my eyes to that, man, I was upset. I was really, really upset about it. So I felt lied to, and I think for a lot of us, when we find out like the truth of things, it's a tough one to acknowledge or be aware of. And at one point, when the universe intervened, I was given the ultimatum: either continue my career as a pilot, and I knew I would have done well with it. The other part is that when I found out that I had a soul, and it was a soul that was keeping me alive, and I remember I had a particular experience. Wow. I remember when my soul spoke to me. It was on one particular evening. I bawled my eyes out because I gave up my career. I gave up the six-figure job that I was doing at the time, and there was a lot of vulnerability with that. There was a tremendous amount of vulnerability with it. I was doing the healing work, and I was devastated. I was completely at a loss of what was up or down. And what I did know is that we all have our spiritual guides from the light that are watching us. This is the cool part. This is the cool part here. When I made the decision saying, universe, you've showed me a lot of things here. You've showed me with what I need to see. And I received a tremendous amount of insight and lessons that obviously I was meant to be seen or shown with. And I simply said, thank you. And the big lesson with that was expressing a lot of gratitude to the universe with whatever was going on in my life. And that was one thing that I wasn't grateful enough in my own life with things. So as I kept moving on with my life, I started getting involved with the healing arts. Then I found out that of our 5 guides are spiritual guides, and they're all assigned to keep us back on track with wherever we need to go with this. And they've volunteered and they've dedicated their life with getting us back on track. I had spent several long years with my guardian angel. That's one of our guides here, to keep me well protected. And I had no clue whether God existed. I knew the universe existed, and I knew that I was here with my guides. And I'm like, well, this is my ticket. I jumped in, and when I gave up my ideal dream job and whatever else there, it's like, well, it's either I sink or swim with this, or I pack my bags and I go back to what I was going to do there. And the cool part is, as I started building that relationship with my guides at the time, I was very, very fascinated, and I had a lot of cool experiences. Feeling the energy, the healing energy. You can even feel your own physical guides. And for me, sometimes I would see them, or I would sense or feel them. And it's like any relationship, I had to earn a lot of trust with cultivating that relationship. And the download, thank you. What came through is for the first 30 some odd years, due to the interferences growing up from the family, the culture, and the religion, there was a severe disconnect. So for those 30 years, the universe was watching with whatever I was doing, and they're like, man, this guy isn't going to do anything. So until I made a rapid shift or a rapid change, then I'm like, well, okay, maybe this guy's committed to seeing what's going on the spiritual side. And after many painful years later doing the healing work, because it's not all roses, there's work involved with it. And attending one's soul journey, that's where my mind was focused on at the time. I did whatever I had to do with it. So we all have spiritual guides, and it's simply having the awareness of it. Now, they got to be coming from the light. That's the key ingredient with this. Now, the other cool ingredient is as I kept working with my spiritual guides and I kept clearing out my inner foundation. This is some nuggets here with this. As I kept clearing out my inner foundation, I found out 7. Either you're going to finish the job off properly in this lifetime, or you're going to come back from another lifetime going through the same shit or the same crap. And I said, I've seen what I need to see here. I'm done, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes here. And I put myself into overdrive for a while. And I kept working with my guides, and I kept going on the inside and clearing up my inner foundation. And I kept moving and running with it. I did whatever I had to do. And there's a lot of sacrifices involved. However, I saw the end goal with wherever I was going with this. And I'm sharing this to inspire others with this. Because if I can do it, I mean anybody else can do it. And it doesn't matter your background or with whatever's going on with it. At one point, I remember with part of my soul came in through the top of my crown here. And the soul actually went back inside of me, because the inside of me got purged out and got cleared out of all the nonsense. So these are all the 3D emotional entanglements. All the stuff that's either swept underneath the rug, or all of it. And it wasn't just from this lifetime, it was from the accumulation of this lifetime in particular as the direct focal point. And then from the other past lifetimes as a reminder saying, hey, these are all recycled experiences. You need to go in there and shut this thing down. So I wound up shutting the whole thing down. I became obsessive compulsive at one point with this, because I was really adamant, because the experience that I went through, I wouldn't have wished that upon anybody else. If you don't have a voice, you're not going to go anywhere. Without a voice, it sucks. That's the short of it. And I kept moving with things, kept running, I kept moving with things. And then when I got in body with my soul, I'm like, wow, this is some new territory with this. And I had to settle with that for a while. And that was several long years with that. And then it was many years later as I continued settling in my foundation with things. Through a gentleman named Joseph Boutros Agabe, there was a program that he offered. And it goes something like, I think it's co-creating with your soul and with God's source creator. This was about 2 or 3 years ago. And I found out that there is a God. And it's real. It's not something where you go to church. It's not something where you go to a place once a week and you give thanks or gratitude to something. this God is very, very real. It's very, very real. So I've mentioned in several of my videos that we're all coming here to redeem ourselves back into the arms of the universe. And I'm simply sharing that for some of us who may go through a tough experience or a hellish experience, or some people may have a fear of either stepping onto the 13th floor or any of these old belief systems, and they're simply fear-based programs, either from this lifetime or from the past lifetimes. And we're coming here in this physical realm to clear it all out. And when they're cleared out properly, then we start reconnecting that we're gaining back that trust with ourself, with our soul, and then with the universe. And when you really I'll use me as an example, and I really did the inner work here, and I'm not shortcutting the spiritual growth of this. So when I went really deep on the inside to clear out like the inner foundation, there's a whole other world out there. And it's not just with physically graduating from this physical realm. It becomes a balance at one point. And I'm very, very grateful, and I'm extremely thankful and grateful that I was able to turn a lot of things around. And I'm a different person now. And so there is a God that's out there, and it's very, very real. And it's in a tremendous amount of energy. And when you put out that good thought or that good energy and you express it with a lot of gratitude, that energy will respond back to one, or whatever you're putting out there. And you just simply got to have that faith and that trust on the inside. And I'm just sharing from my own experience, because as you start when I started elevating in the frequencies, there's a silver light from the soul, and the golden light's coming from God's source creator. So that's the cool stuff down at later on. And I just wanted to share that out there and put it out that that's very, very real. And we do live in a matrix, and we do live in this physical world. We're here all to grow and evolve, and simply being a decent human being and evolve from there. So that's it. Till next time, take care.